informational research. Now, this is the type of research for when your client just wants to know more about a certain topic. Interested in Elvis? Do they want to know more about the benefits of hot yoga? Are they wondering about the history of sneakers? Or do they need some sort of information on a particular product or industry? Now, the information that is available on any topic is unimaginable. The trick for you and I is finding it, sifting through what is true and false, sifting through what is relevant, and then finding the most up-to-date information that's available. So that's where you and I come in. Our job as assistants is to deliver a readable report with the basics, including a too long didn't read style summary, as well as links to further reading for when your client wants to do a little more reading in depth. So let's look at this informational research template and we'll do a quick research project together. Okay, so looking at our informational research template, there are a couple reasons why this makes so much sense to use with your clients. First and foremost, the too long didn't read is a really important inclusion in this template because your clients are busy people. They theoretically don't have time to read pages and pages and pages of your research. You simply info dumping on them a page or two without clear paragraph breaks, without links, without any organization does no help. It does not serve your client. They're so busy that chances are they'll open your email, see way too much writing, and simply close it because they're too overwhelmed. So enter this wonderful template. The too long didn't read inclusion right here, Tldr, is probably one of my favorite features because it summarizes up your research in a really clear and concise way. That way, think of this like a tagline. After you do all the research for them, give them a really simple, easy, memorable tagline so that next time they come back to this research, they'll remember it because you've given them something easy to digest. But I want to show you how this works briefly. I'm just going to pretend that your client has asked you to research the history of Apple because maybe they are getting ready to launch a similar product or a competitor. So, quick Google tip for you, by the by. Searching in quotes brings up results that only include the verbiage that you've included. So something like this. Typing down here. The history of Apple computers. By including this in quote marks, your results will only come up if that exact phrase is also somewhere in the post. The reason why I think quotes are so helpful too is because it also eliminates any products that are Apple. If you simply Googled the history of computers, you would get all sorts of different PCs, all sorts of different things that are now defunct, some Apple in there. So we just want to drill down and find what we want to find. So presuming that you've gone through now and you've looked at several different websites, it is time for us to start inputting our findings into an easy to digest manner. We're going to just kind of do this quickly together. Research, by the way, especially informational research, is one of my favorite things to do because I love getting lost in like whatever info I'm researching. So how does the too long didn't read work? I typically fill this out last and I'll show you why. Paragraph 1, we're going to start, and again, I'm just taking this, Apple computers. All right. We're going to pretend that this is paragraph 1. Do I always plagiarize? No. But for the simpleness of this example, I just want to show you what this looks like. So paragraph 1, we're starting with began in blah, 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 1976 and blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to say something about how they've revolutionized computing in 1984. So it would be paragraph 2. Maybe we want to add paragraph number 3. Maybe we want to include something about the modern day, the iPhone. So we're going to start talking about the history, and now we've gone into modern day iPhone and blah, blah, blah. I always include this, by the way, at the end of my research emails. In case you want to dive deeper, I'm including my research links below. Something like this is so handy because if you've referenced something that your client thinks, oh, that's a really interesting point, where did you find it? And then you didn't save your research resources, you'll be like, I don't know where I found it. And then you'll waste your time trying to go through your history to find the exact link again. So what I do is simply copy and paste the links, just like so. So anything you're using for your research, even if it's a YouTube, if it's something that you've read, if it's a book that you've found on Google Books, I want you to include it on the very bottom. We're not going to wait for that to load. History of Apple, and you could hyperlink this if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so you've done your research. These are the two main sources that you used. You add these links for your clients so they can do some deeper reading if they wanted to. Now we're going to clean this up a little bit. We're going to get rid of this paragraph 1. We're going to get rid of this paragraph 2. So at the very, very end, now that we've got our research that we're ready to present and we've got our links and resources, we're going to sum up everything in here. So we could say something like Apple computers launched in 1976 with the launch of the Macintosh in 1984. They were propelled to, et cetera, et cetera. They were propelled to a great launch, a revolution in computing. Okay. Modern day Apple Inc. makes, 5 billion in sales with the iPhone. Okay, so I'm just making this up at this point. But the too long didn't read is great because if your client, again, is looking for the history of Apple, all they need to do when they open their email is read this, these couple sentences, and all of a sudden they'll have a better understanding of, oh, I know when it launched, I know why they're successful, I know what they're doing in modern day. Bing, bang, boom. So obviously your research will be a little bit deeper than this, but do bookmark this particular template because it can be really powerful when you do end up copying and pasting something for your client that's purely research based.